Thank you for joining us. Welcome to another Conversations with Dr. April. I am April. I want to go ahead and introduce my panel. Go ahead,
Hi,
guys.
everybody. I'm Mercedes.
I'm Lynn.
How you doing? I'm Adrian.
I'm Carrie.
All righty. Thank you all for being here. So today, my first question is, what is your advice for independent women and independent men that have been successful on their own for moving into a relationship? Anybody?
Moving in. Okay, when you say moving into a relationship, they're not moving in like physically. Just
Not necessarily moving in physically, but just moving toward a relationship
Gotcha.
with someone. Yes.
Okay. Well, one of the things I always advise my clients to do is to look for yourself in the other person. If you don't see aspects of who you are in that other person, I think it makes it tricky. I think it alters the trajectory of the relationship. So one of the things I advise is to kind of all the things that you like about yourself, you should be able to see, hopefully, in another person.
Okay.
To piggyback off of that, and speaking for myself, going into a relationship, what I see sometimes we make the biggest mistake is not knowing ourselves. So before even going into a relationship, you got to know yourself. And speaking from personal, well, I've been married 30 years now, but before marrying my husband, I was jumping into relationships and I really didn't know anything about myself. And I think that's a big mistake we make. We don't take the time. We just want to cohabitate or be with someone, but we don't know really what we want. What are our non-negotiables? What we like and what we don't like, what will we accept, what we won't accept. So get to know yourself first before even thinking about a relationship. I don't think we do that enough.
I agree. Anyone else?
I think a person coming in from being independent, it's kind of people be stuck in their ways. So you know how you say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So it's like when a person coming in independent with their own thing, it's almost an ego trip on yourself. It's something that you'll have to do on your own. You gonna have your do's and don'ts and the what else and what I can't deal with. And I think a person's temperament is a little shorter than, oh, I mean, I can do this on my own. Um, that's a tough one for me.
What? Why do you feel like it's tough? Like, because if you have someone, let's say, you being independent, you the man, you have been on your own, doing things on your own, working and cleaning up your own place and all these things, and then you have a woman that's equally independent, that she's been handling her own, taking care of her own, and now you're coming together in a relationship with another person. So how does that look, or how do you, as those both independent counterparts, have to be able to maneuver or understand, like Carrie said, understand yourself, number one, but what are you willing to give or not, so to speak, moving into this relationship?
You have to compromise. You have to
Exactly.
compromise. You have if you're not able to compromise, it's gonna be tough because you have two independent people. So not necessarily saying it's headstrong, but like the old analogy of saying, too many chiefs, no Indians.
Mhm.
So you have to be able to compromise because there's going to be a lot of things that you've been doing on your own and your significant other been doing on their own for so long to now when you're in a relationship, you got to almost kind of scale back.
What I have learned in 30 years of marriage, it's not about me. It's about that other person.
Absolutely.
Too many times we go into marriage thinking about ourselves, but people don't realize, marriage is not about you anymore. It's about that other person. And I've learned when I strive to make my husband happy and meet his needs, yes, I got to get my own needs met too. But when I strive to get his needs met and he meets my needs, then there's a bridge there where we can learn to work together. But I totally agree with the brother when he says lots of compromising. When you got two independent folks coming together, there has to be lots of compromising. But lots of times we don't want to compromise. It's so new. Oh, I've been doing this on my own forever. I don't need him or I don't need her. But if there's no compromising and no thinking about myself and thinking about the other person and that other person thinking about me, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay. Mercedes?
I agree with everybody. Everybody saying what I was thinking. It's the willingness to compromise and sometimes that denying of yourself in order to meet the needs of the other person. And as everybody was talking, it made me think about sometimes like instances when I hear, I think this was on social media, the independent woman, what it looks like when she gets into a relationship with a man. And it's sometimes that single mother who is used to doing everything on her own. And then a man tries to step in and she still has this mentality like, no, I got it. I can do this. And the man feels like he's no longer needed. So then exactly. That creates conflict in the relationship. And I just think that's a really interesting piece. So should a woman become less independent when she gets a man or what does that look like? Is that compromising? Is that now allowing the man to be a man or allowing help? So, I think that's very interesting to think about.
That's another aspect of herself.
Yeah, I guess, Lynn, like from a man's standpoint, like, what do you think? Because I think some men are actually turned on by the fact that the woman is independent. Now, some men may not want their woman to be too independent, but some men actually want their woman to be independent, that she has something going on, so she won't be all under him all the time. So, what do you think?
It depends on how much he's been able to leave home. Parentification, spouseification, can you put some distance between you and the home you came from, because the relationship is breeding grounds for the replication of childhood crap.
Yeah.
And if you haven't dealt with it in a manner that is consistent with being in a relationship, then you are going to be in for a really rough ride. So one of the things I talk to my clients about is that you are responsible for your own happiness.
Exactly.
You can't, if I can't make me happy, then you can't really make me happy.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
So one of the principles that I think is really necessary to know for yourself is, how do you love yourself?
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going. It's self-love again. Going back to self.
If you don't know how to love yourself, it's going to be really hard to be in a love relationship, because I'm going to make you take care of me. And I'll wait for you to take care of me. And here comes up all my childhood stuff. And I'm going to pour that into a relationship, and I'll try to pick up right where I left off from my family of origin. So one of the things I always look for is sibling order. No one talks about sibling order. You firstborn, secondborn, only child, baby. I know I'm in for a fight when it's baby, middle, or firstborn. Those are all rank and sex problems. So if you firstborn and I'm firstborn, we both used to big ball and shot calling, right? So when we come together trying to merge these corporations together, you're going to have to leave that big ball of shot calling outside the door, because we're going to have to form something that's going to be for us. So to the degree in which you are able to resolve leaving home kind of determines the trajectory of the relationship.
That makes a lot of sense. But I guess leaving home in the aspect of, what if you are still, having to care for that parent after you've left home? You have those situations to where you're the partner, you're trying to build something with your significant other, but then you have, you're still trying to help mom get on her feet, or help her pay her bills, or, something with dad, or whatever the case may be. So give some men some advice on that dynamic.
It's blended. A lot of what we're seeing now, it's more blended families. You got this man or this woman that has these other children, and a blended family is a whole another trajectory of a relationship.
Yeah.
Which is hard. Been there, done that. Got a T-shirt on it.
Okay.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, mostly nowadays you gonna have that. It's more blended families than not.
The older you get, you're gonna have it. But guess what? You have to learn. You have to learn how to work through that, because that blended family is gonna make or break that relationship.
So, what's some advice? How do you work through that?
How do you work? How I've worked through that is, if I loved my husband, he was a package deal, so I had to love his child.
Yes.
I had to work through what I had to, and she's 35 now, and that's still a work in progress. But I've learned to, I wish, hindsight is 2020. I wish I would have, the way I am now, where I stood back and just watched. I came in, I was a baby, I was a baby. So I was used to just getting my way and doing things. That birth order, that's key. That birth order, plays a lot, because I'm the baby of 4 girls. So I came in having my way, telling my husband what to do. And you know what I'm saying? And I had to learn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was a mess. But God, 30 years later, I'm still standing. Wow. But I had to learn. Now I just stand back. I came in wanting to be Miss Good Thing, doing everything for everybody. Trying to make everybody happy. And guess who was always sad? Me. Because I was trying to make my husband happy, make his daughter happy, even the ex-wife, trying to just the mother-in-law, trying to make everybody happy. I had to learn what was best for my house. Most importantly, what was best for Carrie.
Okay.
Caretaker. You the caretaker, huh?
Caretaker. Bam.
Bam.
I was definitely the caretaker. Not no more.
Okay. Well, Mr. Hilton has joined us. Hilton, I know you talked about last time about fixers, being a fixer in a relationship. The question that we posed this time was, what is your advice for independent women and independent men that have been successful on their own for moving toward a relationship with someone else?
Okay, ask that question again.
Like, what is your advice for independent men and independent women who have been successful on their own, moving toward or moving into a relationship? So you've been good on your own, but now you want to get into a relationship with somebody. So what would be your advice to that person? Because they've both been used to doing things their way.
It is no longer about you when you get into a relationship. Individual is so I, and me, that we have to be introduced to us, and we. And I think like collectively that's it's difficult, but it's teamwork, because humans we're not really good with change. So that's an ongoing communicative process.
Yes.
That 2 people have to come together. It has to be a lot of empathy that's involved with that. Is a quote that comes to mind that opinion is really the lowest form of human knowledge, because it requires no accountability and no understanding. The highest form of human knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to be more understanding suspend our own egos and spend time in that other person's world and see things from their worldview. So if you're not willing to put your thoughts, your logic, your precepts to a side to embrace the other person, and if there's not any reciprocal there between the two, then you know, you might as well stay single. Because one of the things that relationship has to have is reciprocal, and if relationship don't have reciprocal, then you're doomed from the start, and you're headed on a destructive path to total obliteration and annihilation of the relationship. And so it has to be two empathetic people coming together, realizing that it's not about me anymore, but it's about service to my mate. And vice versa, in reciprocal.
Exactly.
And that's a very, very difficult thing to do, because we as humans, we're horrible communicators, and we're horrible listeners. And those and listening is a definite requirement of two. And the only way you can listen is if you listen to understand and not listen to reply. And fixers tend to listen to reply quite a bit. And you can't fix nothing. And one of the things we learn in counseling, you can't fix it. You know what I'm saying? And so the person who's a natural fixer has to be able to suspend that part of themselves, move that part of themselves out of the way, because, you know, when you confide in each other, it's not necessarily to fix it. Sometimes some people need that listening ear to come back or without a reply. Sometimes we just need to get it out. And so you can't pour from an empty cup. And so the fixer eventually is going to wear themselves down and wear themselves thin, and they ain't have no more to give. So, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So there has to be reciprocal there, so that when you pour out, the other person can replenish you in reciprocal. So that's my advice.
But I know you guys talked about compromise, and I think that's important, a lot of compromise, but also setting boundaries. I think boundaries is a huge thing, especially when you used to being on your own. And so you coming into this now needing to both people set boundaries with outside people that are trying to influence your relationship, meaning mom, dad, baby mama, baby daddy, you know, all these other parties that can cause some ruckus when you are coming together, you know, with your partner in a relationship. So what do you guys think about establishing those level of boundaries that you guys are on one accord and on a team?
Well, you know, those boundaries, them boundaries are going to come later on down the line, because I mean, we're not going to know every boundary. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start living together, them boundaries are going to come accordingly. I mean, you could talk about boundaries in the beginning, but until you start living together, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into, because you don't know the other person's style of living. And so you have to learn each other's style of living, and then those boundaries can be set then, because you can talk about it as much as you want, but until you start putting it into action, you won't really know what those boundaries mean, and communication is interpretive. So the interpretation of those boundaries may be different from each other. So those boundaries are an ongoing process of communication and interpreting it correctly, because you may interpret that boundary to be one thing, and they can start a fight and start an argument. And because, you know, communication is about getting to a level of understanding. And so if I don't interpret you correctly about the boundary that you want to set, that's still an ongoing process. Sometimes those boundaries, you know, they're going to come up 7, 8, 9, 10 more times, because, you know, the boundaries got rules and regulations to it that have not been verbalized in the beginning, you know. So, you know, the boundaries are a definite thing, but all the boundaries ain't going to come out in the beginning. Them boundaries is an ongoing process.
Ongoing. They keep coming up even after 30 years. They keep coming up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Keep coming up. So, you know,
keep coming up.
My story from last week, you know, I got two 15-year-olds, you know. Ooh. And so my wife making that adjustment after I did what I did, you know, I got two 15-year-olds and they're not twins. And so, and I'm also a child of 18, and I don't know what number I am, because, you know, my daddy was a Rolling Stone. I was a child that was born out of adultery. You know, my mama was cheating on my stepdaddy. I got my dad's first name. I got my stepdad's last name. So, you know, hey, it's all about making adjustments.
Wow.
Because, hey, I am a child that was born into just all right, so wrong. But I just had to point that out. I started.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't. Okay. My thing is,
sorry about that.
with all of that going on, and with this question you pose, I earnestly think you need to have counseling when you're in a relationship.
Out the gate.
You need to have counseling out the gate. If I knew then what I know now, I would have fixed Carrie first, because Carrie was screwed up. I was like you, Frat. Carrie was so screwed up. And then my husband was screwed up. So you got this crack egg, you got one crack egg and another crack egg coming together, making these little bitty crack eggs.
Making scrambled eggs.
Scrambled, exactly. You got scrambled eggs, and then you got this other crazy crack egg, the ex-wife, and then they got this little scrambled egg. So it's a mess. So I think what he was saying, it has to be everybody said it has to be compromising boundaries. Those boundaries continue coming up even after 30 years of marriage. With a 35, my stepdaughter's 35. Boundaries still coming up. My husband we bought computers for the kids just recently, and he took it upon himself to tell her, "Oh, the computer's from me." I'm like, "No, the computer not just from you, brother. The computer from both of us." So let her know. She has to realize that I've been with your dad for 30 years, baby.
Yeah.
And my husband has to realize you need to always include me so she can change her mindset.
Yeah.
My daddy doing everything. No, it's not your daddy doing everything. It's your daddy and his wife doing that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh yeah, it can be tough.
Newsflash though, we all screwed up. Yeah, we're all screwed up. That's the newsflash right there.
Exactly.
All of us are screwed up. Yeah, we got issues, no doubt.
And if we can get our people to embrace, we have to get our people some way, shape, or form to embrace counseling.
Yeah.
For themselves and for individually and collectively. And that's still a battle. That's a battle. We've come away, but we have so far to go because we're all screwed up.
Yep. Intergenerational pathology continues to roll down the hill, and it passes to the kids, and the kids watch the parents as role models. So whatever is going down between the parents, the kids will actually absorb. And
exactly.
If there's an intimacy vacuum between this man and this woman, these kids will try to fill that vacuum.
Yes.
So one kid will be a superstar, one kid will be a caretaker, one kid will be highly religious. One kid will be very rebellious. One kid will be a scapegoat.
Yeah, but one kid will be on drugs. I mean, you got that too.
Yeah, so you got this intimacy vacuum, and these kids are trying to scramble to figure out what does this woman need to stay together. So if daddy cheats on mom or mom cheats on dad, one of these kids may become highly religious. Because what this family needs is some morality. And I'm going to be the kid to bring in. And you hear these pastors say, "Oh, I got my call to the ministry at a very young age." What was going on in your house at a very young age? So that kind of intergenerational pathology, if someone doesn't fall on the sword and kind of like put a stop to it, it'll just keep going downhill. Unfortunately.
You know, also as a parent, what I've learned with my children, I don't care how hard we try to give them what we did not have, or to give them that emotional and mental. Being that I've been a counselor for 20 plus years and trying to give my kids the emotional stability and the mental stability, they always come up with something they're missing. They still come up with something that they're missing.
Yeah.
Something in my husband.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have all the answers, but a lot of times we can catch stuff early on, and we can, go about trying to find and help our kids with finding resources. A lot of times we in the Black families, you feel like you know it, or you don't want people to know your business, or you don't want, you have these secrets. So you, even though you think or you say you're doing everything you can, you really have not done everything you can when you go back to thinking about it. In the very beginning, when you first started seeing these issues with your kids or with your family, what do you do, or what have you done to address it early on? A lot of times, nothing.
And
if we've been honest,
that's where I fell off with my 24-year-old son, because he has this 139 IQ. I thought he was fine, but he was not fine. He was too smart for his own good, still too smart for his own good. Now we're struggling mentally and emotionally with him, and I wish, hell, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I should have had that boy in some counseling when I realized what kind of IQ he had, but I didn't.
Yeah, emotional and intellect aren't necessary
right now because he has no social skills. He has no social skills. We're struggling. I need to probably have him to come see one of you guys.
Has been assessed for Asperger's?
Guess what? I really think so. One of the therapists saw that. Well, no, I'm blind. It was one of my cohorts. Said, Carrie, have you actually had him tested for Asperger's? And the psychiatrist that he was seeing, because my son had a full nervous breakdown where he went into the hospital for 4 weeks, and we're still dealing with that now, y'all. It's been a road. So, and I'm just Asperger's. I saw that, I see that, but how do you get him tested for that? I asked the psychiatrist about it. And he's 24, so he doesn't want me to do that in his business. So that's the fight.
Yeah, but she can refer him over to the Centers for Autism, and they do those batteries of tests for the Asperger's, for everything that's on the spectrum. So
because I saw it's, to me, I see the Asperger's, autism, one of those two. I see that.
Yeah, he's high functioning. So it's just that. That assessment will be really. And there's a plethora of resources. Even monthly checks so that they can live on their own and do their own thing and have a person come and see them from time to time. It's a lot of money out there. I know somebody who done it with their son, and she went through a labyrinth to get that money for him, and he's doing his thing on his own.
And he graduated from Xavier with a biology pre-med. He's a biology pre-med major. He's very intelligent, but guess what? Intelligence, you got to have some street smarts.
Yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of these kids now, they are really smart, but they don't come with common sense.
Jesus, none.
Yeah.
So I need to get with you guys, because I would really need I need some resources to try to get him some other help.
Okay. So going into our next question. So what are some tips and tools on maintaining a happy relationship during this pandemic?
Are they in the same space or in separate space?
Both. Same space. I gotta have separate space.
I gotta have details, because the rules are different. If you're in your space and I'm in my space, we're gonna conduct ourselves different. But if we're in the same space, you're gonna need a therapist.
I've been hearing people complaining about not getting along with their mate, and my husband didn't work for, I want to say, a month. With my school, with my old school district, and we were enjoying being in our. I don't do anything but work, home, and church anyway. I enjoyed having my husband here with me. For that month. Now, mind you, I'm in this bedroom. This is where I do my work at, my bedroom. He is in his own office, so it's not like we share. We both in the bedroom, because probably somebody would be dead if we were both in the bedroom all the time. He's on his side of the house, I'm on my side of the house, and we enjoyed. And then when we met up in the middle, we enjoyed every bit of being with my husband in this pandemic.
So what tips, Carrie, would you give then? Since y'all are good, what tips would you give you know,
like
people,
I heard one of the brothers say, just he has this thing and I have my thing. And then we have this thing where we come together. So I'm not totally dependent upon him to meet all my needs.
yeah,
And he's not totally dependent on me to meet all of his needs. He has his thing, I have my thing. And then, hey, we meet somewhere in the middle, our thing. Does that make sense?
yes, that makes sense.
So, and we, I mean, I asked my husband a while back, I said, are we strange? Because a cold winter day, I'm at home. If once I have left school and came home, went to church and came back home, me being in my house in front of my fireplace, enjoying myself, I'm content.
Yeah.
So is my husband. Now, thank God he's not somebody that has to be out and about, and I need to be out and about and doing stuff. We're content at home. Now, there's other people, there are other personalities that I've heard my other girlfriends saying, oh, he just want to stay home, and I need to get out, and I need to meet people, and I need to see people. Well, you got to compromise with that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's the introvert thing, then there's the extrovert.
And the extrovert, exactly.
See, I'm introvert, so I can stay in the house. I ain't got to open the door for the next 10 days. I'm good.
Exactly.
So, you know, this is why, you know, I try to tell folks, you know, you have to kind of find somebody. Well, it depends. For me, I'll talk about me. For me, I want to be with somebody who's like me. I'm probably better with another woman who's kind of introverted, you know, like me. So we don't have this polarity, you know, that opposite attract thing. And dang good, because it's going to show up and it's going to blow up because
You're gonna show up and blow up.
So I like that. Show up and blow up. It is. Now, I wish we're getting better. I wish he was a little bit better emotionally, and he's working on that because he's blue collar, I'm white collar, and he's working on that. We've done the love language thing, and we're working on he knows what I need, and he's better. The brother working on it. So as long as I know you're working on it, you're good with me. But if you ain't working on it, then I don't need you.
Right.
So one of the things I probably prescribe for couples is to do the Myers-Briggs and kind of where they fall, you know, personality-wise, because there are some personalities that aren't really good matchups, and then there are some personalities that kind of gel with one another. You definitely want to kind of know that because, you know, again, couples, you know, as an individual in a couple, I am responsible for my happiness. And if we both go into it like that, where I'm not holding you accountable for taking care of me, you can make anything work from that point, because that sets up the reciprocity. You know, we do what we want to. Yeah.
I like that.
I agree. Yeah.
I like that.
I think
Adrian?
patience and restraint. Patience and restraint. Y'all can hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
When you say restraint, what do you mean restraint?
You know how you just said, Miss Carrie, and if y'all was in the same room, y'all probably kill each other. It's points like those boundaries. You know what I'm saying? You have patience. You said some of your friends, you know, they sit back and like, man, how does that happen? That happens with experience. Y'all have been around each other enough. You know, you get some people that have been with each other a few months. Some people that have been in a few years. Some people, you know, fortunate enough to be 30 plus years or whatnot. So, you know, you have to have a line of patience, especially during this pandemic where, you know, you can do other things to deflect from, I ain't got to be in the same room with her. Oh, it's Sunday, it's football season. You know, things of that nature. As far as what I mean by restraint, you know, it's gonna be little things because y'all both being crammed up in this space, shelter at home. So, you know, it's certain things that, you know, you're gonna try to avoid. I may be the one be trying to start an argument, or you may be the one trying to start an argument. So, you know, to be like, hey, now. You know, you have your introverts and extroverts, that that don't want to be around anyone, or definitely needs to be out and about. You just did social media way too much. Now you need to actually see somebody. The TikToks that got old. So it's little things like that. You steadily just coming with it. Like, all right. So when I say patience, I think it's just patience to know that somebody has gotten frustrated by just steady sitting at home. You gotta do things to make you smile. Okay, now I heard times it ain't come out right now. Social media can only take you so far. Your phone can only take you so far. You can only binge watch so many shows. Things of that nature.
I guess what about people who somebody mute.
So what?
Go ahead, Mercedes.
So my question would be, what would be some tips to give someone to maintain a healthy relationship if you are not living together during the pandemic?
That's a good one. Take this time to get to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, get to know that. That's one of my pet peeves, because that's a mistake I made by getting married and not me and my husband not knowing ourselves. So take this time, find out who you are. I like the Myers-Briggs, when Lynn said about the Myers-Briggs thing. Do that. Find out exactly who you are. What makes you tick? How can I make myself happy where I'm not totally have to be dependent on that significant other, And let me find out what do I like to do, and then guess what? You can communicate and you can share. Well, this is me. This is my likes. These are my my dislikes and so forth. And I suggest he does the same. And then maybe with somewhere you meet in the middle. And then, but we're constantly evolving. We're constantly learning ourselves. But I think they're at the base. You could at least have a baseline of what you like and know about yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's what I would suggest for two people that's in separate homes. Get to know Jesus and get to know yourself.
I think that's good. A lot of self-reflection is important, but also communicating with that other person. That way you guys, since you can't really see each other, you're not in the same home, videoing, maybe FaceTiming every now and then, but also communicating, talking about your likes and dislikes. And that's the time to where you can really talk and really get to know and communicate a whole lot more and find out things that you probably didn't really have time to do before. So that's important. Communicate some more.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I have a teenager. My teenager is 17 years old. So, you kind of see the things that you do, that you used to do, that they just don't do anymore. That communication thing is real big. You don't see kids sitting on the phone as much. A lot of things would be a little FaceTime here and there, but there's a lot of texting. The difference with that is you do need the FaceTime. You do need to, especially in Ms. Dominique's situation. Especially, and I know on one of our blogs along far back, that's not her thing. But you do have to get to know yourself, like Miss Carrie says. When we was coming up, we only had the house phone, the landline. So, you'll sit on the phone till you fall asleep, and
breathing.
Right. Now the phone goes, the phone dies now, your mom pick up the phone, you're on the phone, things of that nature. But, that was all forms of communication, even writing letters. I mean, you see somebody with a pen and a piece of paper, it's almost foreign.
That's true. That's true. I earnestly wish we could teach these kids, but this is the day and time we're in. Put these cell phones down. Once all of this is over, and before this pandemic hit, I saw that as an educator, they would write papers the way they text. They don't even know how to write anymore, because you see all of that emojimi, whatever you call it, the way they talk on these texts.
Emoji.
on an English paper. And I'm like, that ain't working. No. You know what I'm saying? So the communication in this age of technology is ruining and hurting this generation. It is.
I agree.
Yeah. So I can say one thing. Don't ignore little things. The things that get on your nerves before the pandemic started, but you just ignored it. It becomes big things. Now that you have more time with each other. So whatever problems you had before the pandemic, it's going to intensify now, or it probably will intensify. So if you wasn't taking care of those problems from the giddy up, and you just kept letting it slide, then your relationship's probably going to hit some real heavy pitfalls because of the refusal and the negligence on your part to not handle those small things in the beginning. You know it got on your nerves, but you just let it go because you didn't love, that's all right. That's so cute. It ain't going to be so cute, not once you get together. So, yeah, communicate, right. So start addressing those small things that have become big things, because now it's probably going to be harder to break that habit of all those small things that's been happening, that's been getting on your nerves about each other. And so that could be one of the reasons why Miss Carrie and her husband get along quite a bit, because they address that stuff.
Experience.
Well, when the hormones wear off, because at first it's all hormone driven. Oxytocin, vasopressin, epinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, all them love hormones. It makes you not defend yourself, and it makes you very pliable. And because that's Mother Nature wants babies. Okay, so when you're all geeked up on them hormones, you ain't really thinking straight. You on the phone to 4 o'clock in the morning, talk about you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. That's hormone. The grind of the relationship comes when the hormones are all worn off. And then you're going to find out just what kind of relationship you're in. Because now it's not driven by, being all geeked up. And it's one of the things I look for when couples come in. And well, how long y'all been dating? And that hormone phase can stick around for a minute. It was the reason you were supposed to have sex before marriage, and that I'm almost willing to bet that's probably one of them. So, what I assess for is how, are they in that honeymoon phase of the relationship? Because you're right, when that stuff starts to wear off, leaving the toilet seat up ain't so cute no more.
Yeah.
And if you did it in the beginning,
and that's why relationships are not working, and that's why the divorce rate is so high, because they get caught up in that honeymoon state. I call it the honeymoon state. But after that stuff start wearing off, baby, you got to live with that brother, and he ain't it.
Well, that's
you got to start learning.
In the beginning, you need to communicate and figure out what your non-negotiables are. Some people may not care about, okay, well, he leave the toilet seat up. I don't mind. I'll go behind and put it down. But if that's an issue for you, maybe you need to tell him, hey, brother, you keep leaving the toilet seat up. That's something that's calling in. Make sure you put it down. Exactly. You bring it up when it's an issue for you. Don't wait till now. When y'all was dating, you was putting it down, and now you married, and now it's a problem for you, and you talking about it. No, it was a problem when you was dating, but you never addressed it. So address it then when you see the issue.
Especially to a man. Especially to a man. Because we're gonna cover the surface. It's the inner part that we become. We kind of block out. So if it is something like the toilet seat, and you mention it like in passing, like I see you left the toilet seat up, I almost fell in it, and we just laugh it off without you actually saying, hey, you need to start putting that toilet seat down. We get on it. So 1 hour situations before, we talked about that in terms of you almost got to explain to you in detail how you want it done, because we'll do it, but we're gonna do it to an hour, like to you know, whatnot. You might want all the books on the left side, but we stacked all the books on the right. You just said stack the books.
Read,
You know, you
read.
just said stack the books. So once I stack the books, you know, I don't need you to come and say why you ain't put in alphabetical order. I look, listen. You said stack the
Okay.
books, lady. You know, so once you let us know things like that, it's usually, I mean, it usually will work, you know, organically. It'll happen, you know, because we're trying to avoid that coming back up again. But what happens is you do wait till you get married. You do wait till the honeymoon stage and wore off, and now you want to tell me everything you don't like. You ain't had no problem with it when we first hooked up, when I used to kiss you on your neck, huh? So that's why I'm at with it.
I feel it
Well,
all in my spirit.
Well, I mean, men compartmentalize.
Mhm.
When you open up the mind of a man, you see these little boxes. And there's a box for my boys, there's a box for school, there's a box for my wife, there's a box for my dog, there's a box for my job, and none of my boxes touch. Right? You one track mind, you hear it all the time. Well, I'm in that box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'm out of that box, that's going to require some skills. So when you look into the mind of a woman,
She multitasks.
big ball of copper wire, and everything is connected to everything. It's all, I mean, stuff that's from left field. Like, where do you get that from? I mean, well, this is related to this, is related to this. Well, how do you get that? It's all related into, you know, when in a woman's mind. So you have to have a fundamental understanding of how men's minds work and how women's minds work. You have a fundamental, and most folks don't. They don't have killers.
But you know what? It's a really
they
good
don't
book.
have a clue because a woman.
It's a really good book that explains that. The
body.
sorry.
I have it. It's the body. The body keeps the score. Is it The Body Keeps the Score? The book you're talking about?
No, it's the men are like waffles. Women are like spaghetti.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he talks about the women. He talks about women's spaghetti kind of navigate multitask all over the place, but men compartmentalize and they're like boxes of the waffles. And so they're functioning in one box at a time. So the book breaks it down perfectly.
And that's another important aspect, Mercedes. That's another important aspect I would tell someone that's dating and you're not cohabitating and just living separate lives. Get to understand that man's brain, and that man needs to get to understand your brain. That's another, I think that's some other homework that you would do as well as a couple. Because something I didn't do. I did not understand how my husband's brain worked, baby, because it works differently than mine. But now I see how it works. You know what I'm saying? So I think for anybody that's not married and you embarking upon a relationship, I think that's homework that you need to do as well. Getting to know the functionality of that other person's brain and how it works.
Yeah. You know, I think one of the things, if you're a part like that, one of the things you can focus on is finding out their family background.
Oh, bam, Genogram.
So
Genogram, yes.
Were you raised on survival or were you raised on love? And all too often, these people are often attracted to one another because they see in one another the things that they, you know, can fix, or, you know, it's just, you just fit. So if you raised on survival, you're going to be attracted to someone who's raised on love because you ain't never got that. You're going to want that. You're going to need that. And the person who's raised on love wants to help the one who's raised on survival. I mean, you know, or if I can love you through it and all that stuff, you know, you gotta find out each other's family backgrounds. That's mad. I think it's critical, because if you can't get along with his family or you can't get along with her family, I don't think you should probably get married, to be honest.
Exactly.
Right.
A therapist that will do a good, it's called a genogram, that does a really good genogram.
Yep. You're right there. Yeah.
And finding out about, he finds out about your background and so forth and so on.
Yeah. Now that one will definitely show up and blow up. That family background stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh. Woof. And
Yeah, that's a lot. But see, all that
if you
needs to be discovered, you're right, before the marriage takes place.
yeah,
And that's why a lot of I'm a firm believer that that's why a lot of these relationships are not working, and why the divorce rate is so high, because we don't do this detective work before. We don't do the work before we say I do. And
Well,
I wish I would have done it.
Folks don't communicate. They're scared to communicate with their partner. You know, that's why a lot of couples come to counseling, because they don't know how to talk to each other. So they come seeking some help and guidance on how do we communicate with each other. It's couples that come and they've been together 2-3 years and never discuss finances. Well, how do you get stuff paid if y'all ain't talking about how the money work? Like, who do that? But it's people that have not. Well, we just don't discuss it. It just understood. No, you need to talk about it. That's important. But it's people are scared to talk to each other.
yeah, that's hard
That's
though.
the thing.
You talk about, I ain't had to deal with that growing up, so why I got to deal with it now? I don't want to deal with that. No.
I mean, I think with this generation, you see, when you see a couple that's been together 5 years, whether it be in a relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend, they ain't reached that pinnacle yet. But when you see that, it's like, dang. But then when you hear about your grandparents, your aunts and aunties been together 30, 40 years, it's just like, whew, how y'all do that? But I think in this today's generation and things that's going on nowadays, it's the microwave effect. You want that fast food dinner, you don't want to let it cook and marinate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree with that.
ever since sex got easier, love got harder to find. So you see this generational transition in that, it's nothing for folks. I mean, they hook up like, without no thought, without any what are the consequences. It's a very different generation, and I've been a witness to this from how I grew up to what's going on now. And with millennials, I mean, sex is a commodity. I mean, and women are aggressive and men are aggressive, and it's just like, there's nothing else to build on when when you can get it that easy. I mean, men should chase. I mean, you should chase. I mean, and but that art, all of that chivalry, all that stuff's gone. It's like,
And I sure try to keep it alive. But
throw it all out the window.
The wrong things are being sensationalized. That's pretty much what it is with the new kids or the new generation. So whereas, even if you get married, y'all probably see a lot of younger couples coming in after 2-3 years and saying they can't do it no more. I don't even know how I lasted this long. And it's just like, wow. My pastor actually he said, man, you actually work on your marriage every day of your life. Like, wait, what? And for me to have
this generation is all about me. It's all about me. It's not about anybody else. I'm seeing it in my own children. It's all about me. Entitlement and all about me.
Yep.
And I look at me, my husband and I, we wonder, how did we screw our children up? You know why? By trying to give them what we did not have.
That's why you screwed them up.
And that's how you screwed them up. Exactly. I take full responsibility for that. That's how I screwed them up.
We all do. When you realize that your parents telling you no, wait till I get older. Wait till I get grown. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Now I realizing that you just tearing yourself up, because every pair of tennis shoes that you wanted as a child, your mom told you no because you wasn't good on shoes. So once I became grown, I can speak for myself. Once I became grown, any shoe that I want, I'm gonna get. And just so happened, I'm a manager at a shoe store for the last 16 years. So it kind of came as it is. Then when I had my kids, it's like, nah, you're not gonna want for nothing. So when I had my son, oh, that's my boy, that's my twin, I'm gonna get him everything, and not realizing that I ain't tell him no enough. Yeah. I didn't say no enough. Even if I said no, I still turned around and got it. But I said no, I just ain't stick with it. And you're thinking that your parents was too hard on you. I ain't gonna do that. I refuse to do that. Now, you in that situation where you questioning yourself like, dang, I should have Oh
I
man, I
should
should
have
have.
I should have treated them like my mama treated me. I should have made them
There's
judge
a
the
lot of
Lord
shit I
like
could
no.
have. Not realizing what it did to you. You know, you actually built the foundation by treating you that way. Even though you might have
Yeah.
thought it was hard, you seen it. You seen it coming straight down the pipeline. But we took shortcuts with our kids in the sense of we actually help a lot more. All right, look, this is how you put the water hose on the hose. Now you squeeze the handle. Let them figure that out. You know the already you gonna come in or out of my house. Nah, I'm gonna stay outside because I ain't gonna take all the AC out the house. I'm gonna stay outside till the lights come on. We don't have that no more. We don't have that no more.
But see, you have to also look at the type of kids that we're raising nowadays. These kids aren't like we were when we were growing up. These kids are very sensitive. They're highly sensitive, to a whole lot of stuff. Bullying and stuff when we were in school, it's like, okay, we fought and that was it. The next day we went to school and we played with the same people. We was cool again. Not these kids are being bullied. They going home and they're hanging themselves in the closet. They're severely depressed. I mean, you didn't have that back then because we wasn't as sensitive. So you have to
But our
explain
bully
a
only
little bit
lasted.
more. You have to
Our
explain a
bully
little
only
bit more
lasted
to
at
them.
school. It only lasted at school when we was going to school. We just had to deal with it on Tuesday after we done dealt with it on Monday. These kids are dealing with the same thing as soon as they get home because they pulling out their electronic
Yeah.
smartphone and now they send a tweet or text or whatever the case may be. You can put in a group chat. So you're gonna see it more now because look, we was actually sheltered from that because we didn't have that. Hey, we thought we was the stuff when we had a Bipple.
Yeah.
Did it? I got a quarter to go make this phone call. So nowadays, yeah, the kids of today are very fragile because they got it constantly. They got it constantly, and then some parents, whatever the case may be, don't have the resources to continue to check on their kids. I seen a little girl during this pandemic. I think she was in Baltimore, 12 or 13 years old. She couldn't deal with it. She hung herself. Sad, and you just never know. The mom got on TV. She was like, she was such a sweet girl, but how much did you know about your daughter? So I mean, it's a constant thing now. So I think that's why the kids are fragile now because it's constant now. We can actually go home and not have to worry about our bully until the very next day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's communicating. A lot of parents don't communicate with the kids either. So it's more you checking in, grilling them, asking them questions. How was your day today? How are you feeling? What's going on with you? Is there anything that you want to tell me? Is there anything you want to talk about? All those things are important. So you can raise emotionally stable children. That's the thing.
Right. But it's not that linear. I mean, it's life's lived in the gray. It's like, in the bell of the curve. You can't be on the extremities with kids because, kids are going to be in the middle. So
yeah.
I'm not saying that you got to be their friend and stuff, but it's got to be an approach that encompasses where they're at, their age appropriateness, how they feel, what's going on with them, because most kids are they're relying on their peer, they're getting their ideas from their peer group. So to the point where you can supersede the peer group, do you have more influence over your kid than the peer group? And that's a really tough part to navigate because peer groups are very, very, very powerful.
Yeah, I agree, but once again, that's when you have to instill in your kids to be emotionally stable. And how you do that, you sat down with mine from an early age, my son. And I would go the same stuff that I would do with my kid clients. I would print out little worksheets and we would go over assertive communication and boundaries and being clear with your friends and bullying and peer pressure. That's what we would sit down and we would talk about. Now, every parent is not a therapist, so they're not going to do these things with their kids. But I still think you should have the dialogue to be able to open that door and be able to let them know that they can come talk to you and you have the conversation. with them and teach them certain things, and not being afraid to have these conversations with your kids. But some parents just don't.
I mean, but it's a little different now because 81% of Black boys are growing up without a father. Your father is important because of imprinting, role modeling. You know, who do I take after? If you don't, and for me, I think the most important parent in the life of the child is the same sex parent. I mean, that's who you're going to model off. But both parents are needed because half of who I am, my mom, the other half, my dad. So if I grow up without this half, you know, say it's my father, then my worldview is going to be kind of biased, you know, and that's a really hard deficit to overcome because you know, I thank God for my grandfather. So when he was in the mirror shaving, he gave me a little plastic one without a razor, and I'm modeling him. I'm copying him. I'm tying my tie, and you know, I'm putting on suits for Sunday school. I mean, those things are important for a boy child to have, you know.
Yeah.
And 81% of them are not growing up with that. Then when they go into a relationship, whatever wasn't present in the home is going to show up in the relationship.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, I knew to hold the door open for a woman for a long time. You know, I always went and grabbed a chair. I always, you know, I mean, it was my grandfather taught me that stuff. So it was second nature to me. But
yeah,
these cats growing up nowadays, they go in the door first and let the door close on them.
Close on the people. Yes, indeed, they do.
Like
they do.
I mean, but nobody ever showed them. You know, he don't know. So
yeah,
that's a huge problem. It's huge.
Wow. Well, anybody else want to add anything before we go?
Okay, I'm gonna throw in this one little piece about my dissertation was on narcissism, and I think my dissertation title was "Can Narcissism Influence Divorce?" Everybody goes, "Of course, narcissism influences divorce," but I actually got the numbers. I found 3,000 narcissists, and I got this database and numbers and all this stuff when I compiled it. Narcissism, one of the causes of narcissism is abuse. Early on, and all of you are familiar with you remember the still face experiment, where the experimenter walks into the room and tells the mother to turn her face off, and the infant child kind of starts to freak out a little bit.
Yeah,
right. Imagine growing up with that. When you grow up with that I think that is probably the genesis of narcissism, because at some point in time the brain goes, well, I can't rely on you. I'll just sit here and play by myself. Or I'll just do this by myself. I'm not going to rely on you. And so narcissism, I think, is a direct result of early childhood trauma. And that trauma never got resolved. And so now I'm this person, I'm not capable of empathy. I'm not capable of being compassionate because it was never shown to me. And what happened was I got hardwired. So
are you telling me, Lynn, are you telling me I got to have more patience with Donald Trump?
No, you need to discard Donald Trump. He's a malignant narcissist. You can see him coming a mile away.
A mile away.
But he's not the one you got to worry about. You got to worry about the covert narcissist. That's the most dangerous one. You can't see them. They smile in your face. They can feign a little empathy just to get you hooked.
Just to catch you.
And once you hooked and your guard's down, now they start gaslighting you to take care of them. It's really fascinating how it works.
How did you find 3,000 narcissists?
Look, your government paid 37,000 people $145 to take a survey.
Oh.
And that database is, I got this database in about 4 or 5 different places because it's hot. Because now you can extrapolate, you know, it's called the NESARC, NESCARC, NESARC, National Environmental Survey of something. Anyway,
Right.
it's been a minute since I played with that dissertation. So, but yeah, it's this huge database, and I was curious because this narcissist, I was on narcissism back in 16 before it ever blew up. So, you know, I needed to understand what it was because my ex was narcissistic, and I couldn't do enough. And I was the codependent, me.
I was the
I could
codependent.
not do enough. I couldn't do enough. It was never enough. And then it's like, wait a minute, you know? And a friend of mine said, she sounds awfully narcissistic. I'm like, well, what's that? Because they don't really teach us that. I didn't learn that in the master program. I kind of heard about it. They never really went in depth as to what it was. And once I started reading it, I could not stop it. And so I see a lot of narcissism in couples. How it shows up in men, how it shows up in women. It's a little different.
Well, I think that's what they call the ego. So it's narcissist, but you call it ego in the relationships, more or less.
Yeah. Well,
ego times 10 is narcissism.
Yeah. Well, when there's no compassion or empathy, you just have the capacity to be empathic. You don't have to be an empath. I'm an empath. You don't have to be an empath, but you do have to have the capacity to just empathy. And a lot of folks, you know, again, that childhood trauma, you know, didn't nobody take care of my needs, you know, I just learned to siphon off of everybody else and make them take care of me. So
and that's what's happening now. Nobody's taking care of that childhood trauma. That's what I see.
No.
And then we're jumping into these relationships, and we have not taken care of what has happened in our past.
That is correct.
And so therefore, it comes up. We throw it up when you get married to someone else. It all comes. It just comes up. It's just you just regurgitate it all up.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get this person to meet your needs that you didn't get met as wasn't met as a child.
Yeah. Well, they call them adult children. So and adult children present very differently in Black couples.
And there's no age limit on those adult children either.
It's sure not.
No.
Age does not equate maturity. It does not.
Nope.
That limbic system get damaged pretty well in their child. When they get abuse like that, trauma like that, it damages their limbic system quite a bit.
Absolutely.
That amygdala and hippocampus, So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're going to end it on this note, guys. Wow. Great information. Wonderful panel. Thank you guys so much.
Sure thing.
For participating. So this concludes our segment of Conversations with Dr. April. Until next time, be blessed. Follow us on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to Urban Counseling channel to get all the updates and the information. Bye.
Bye.